The time has come for the final trial. Court now in session for the trial of Mr. Will Powers. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Today will be the final day of this trial. I hope both the prosecution and the defense will be able to present decisive evidence. Very well, Mr. Edgeworth, your opening statement. In yesterday's session, the defense presented us with a new... In yesterday's session, the defense presented us with a new theory for this case. He claims that the scene of the crime was, in fact, Studio 2. Today, I will call on people present in Studio 2 trailer that day. From their testimonies, the truth will become clear. Very well. Edgeworth seems a bit on edge today. He's always on edge. He's Edgeworth. You may call your first witness, Mr. Edgeworth. The prosecution calls Miss D. Vasquez to the stand. Miss D. Vasquez is a producer who was present in the Studio 2 trailer that day. Will the witness state her name and occupation? D. Vasquez, I'm a producer for Global Studios. On the day of the murder, you were in the trailer in Studio 2. As everyone here knows, yes? I dislike needless banter. If you must pontificate, do it when I'm not here. He's gotta lay the fucking case out for the court. It's the rules. You have to repeat everything so everyone knows exactly what you're talking about. Very well, Miss Vasquez. Please give the court your testimony concerning the day of the murder. Nick, I know she did it. Make her pay. Right. If she's guilty, I'll catch her with her pants down, so to speak. The day of the murder. I don't think she's worn pants in her life. I entered the trailer, a little before noon. The meeting began at 12 sharp and ended at 4. There was to be a rehearsal afterwards, so I went to Studio 1. I was fatigued, so I had Sal take me. At 2:30 we took a 15-minute break in the meeting. Sal and I ate T-bone steaks on the table in front of the trailer. We found Hammer's body later, when we all went to Studio 1. That's all. I have a question about one part of your testimony. You were fatigued, so you had Sal take you. The van... Huh? There's a van at Studio 2. I had him take me in that. I thought it might be risky to walk, what with that monkey's head toppling over. Van added to the court record. I see. Very well. Mr. Wright, your cross-examination. This is the final battle, Nick. Let's do it. The day of the murder. By yourself? Yes. And you didn't stop in at the employee area? No. Are you always this terse? Yes. Oh dear. Did no one else leave? Did no one leave during the meeting? No one. Come on, talk about a bit more than that. The witness did not come here to engage in idle conversation. Stop interrupting the testimony. Same could be said to you, Mr. Edgeworth. And please stop banging on your little desk. It hurts my ears. Rehearsal afterwards at Studio 1? When exactly was that? I'd forgotten. Maybe you could try remembering? No. The meeting ended at 4, and the rehearsal was scheduled for 5. I would think it was between those times. You would think? Come on, all you did was state the obvious, Edgeworth. Fatigued. Hold on. You had Sal take you? What's that mean? It means what I just said. I had Sal take me in the Studio 2 van. Alright. At 2:30 we took a 15-minute break. And what were you doing during that time? Don't hit your desk. It irritates me. Yeah, Mr. Wright. Thanks, Edgy. Oops. It was a 15-minute break. Do you have someone who can verify this? That you ate steaks? Sal? No, I mean someone else. One person's enough. She committed murder during that break. Wouldn't have had time to eat a T-bone steak. I had some evidence that proves she didn't eat that steak. Well, Nick, find anything? Kinda wish she'd talk a little more. It's hard. I think she's getting pretty used to being the boss. But I'm sure you'll find some kind of contradiction in what she said somewhere. Do I have evidence she didn't eat that steak? 2... 15... So we have an idea that Powers went there at 2. Shortly afterward, the monkey head fell. Which... close timing there. Could have gotten bonked. And then something happened to result in his death while at Studio 2. After which point in time, they used the van to drive him directly to Studio 1. Where they were then found later. So, how do we get from here to there? Before noon. This feels like one of the ones where it just kind of goes. Sleeping pills, large bone, steak plate, employee area. Fastcast Studio 1. Hold on. And then take you. We wouldn't have time to eat a T-bone. I had some evidence to prove she didn't eat that steak. Find anything? Everything's been pressed, so now it's just down to find the evidence. But what is the evidence? Her timeline doesn't make any sense. She's talking about the meeting at 12 and it ending at 4. The rehearsal afterwards at Studio 1. But that has nothing to do with what it is you're doing at 2:30. Because at that point in time you're still in your meeting doing other stuff. Steak plate? As I thought. You claim you ate a T-bone steak. But I say you didn't. What's this now, Mr. Wright? Look at this. It's a plate. This plate was on the table in the employee area. As you can see, a large bone has been left behind. Mr. Wright, need I remind you that it was a T-bone steak? Exactly my point. Remember, if you will, Ms. Vasquez and Mr. Manella ate at a table outside the trailer. There was no such bones. Yet there were no bones left on the plates. The plates were bare. Ms. Vasquez? Tell me, how can a person eat a T-bone steak and not leave the bone? Well, two options. A, they're a monster. B, they picked up after themselves, so they're the opposite of a monster. I think I know how. Ate the bone. You didn't eat any steak during that break. You took your steak and threw it somewhere, like that incinerator. C. Or the bones in the incinerator, because fucking take it this isn't a good argument, Phoenix. Then what was Ms. Vasquez doing during her break? Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? Meeting the Steel Samurai. She was meeting with the Steel Samurai. Order. Are you saying? Yes, Your Honor. As Miss Vasquez left the trailer to eat her steak, she ran into the Steel Samurai. And then you did it. You killed him with your own hands. Mr. Wright, isn't that a little presumptuous? What kind of stunt are you trying to pull, Wright? Let him claim what he wants. You say I did it? Yes. Fascinating. And here I was worrying that the day would be as boring as all the rest. Very well. Let us have a battle of wits, you and I. Any day, Vasquez. Good luck, Nick. Let's see. What was that murder weapon again? Oh yes, the samurai spear. Yes? I am, as you can see, a woman of petite stature. How could I possibly use that heavy spear as a weapon? I think you would have a great deal of difficulty using that as a weapon. Pretty much anyone would. Heh. You see? Yes. However, that has no bearing on this case. Meaning? The samurai spear was not the murder weapon. What? What's the meaning of this? The spear was found lying next to the victim's body. I have proof, Your Honor. I can prove that the samurai spear was not used as a murder weapon. This photo of someone being impaled on the garden spikes. Wrong, Mr. Rat. I haven't said anything yet. I know you well enough by now to know when you're going to present the wrong evidence. I can sense it too with my fey blood. Okay, so I picked the wrong evidence. Enough with all the sensing. Here's the real evidence. I can prove the samurai spear is not used as a murder weapon because it was currently kept together with duct tape and not very stable. I present my proof, the so-called murder weapon. But that is the murder weapon. Not so fast. Remember that the spear broke during the morning action scene run-through? But someone fixed the spear. It was the security lady. She fixed it with duct tape. Now tell me, how is it possible for someone to stab a man who's wearing a thick costume with this, through the chest? If they have good duct tape, anything is possible. Order. Mr. Wright, what are you driving at? Think about what you're... Silence. I'm the one testifying here and I will be heard. Are you quite sane? Are you even aware of what you're saying? If the samurai spear was not the murder weapon, then pray tell what was. How was Hammer killed? Well, Mr. Wright, can you tell us what weapon was used to kill Mr. Hammer? Would I make a claim like that if I couldn't tell you what the weapon was? I'm afraid your confidence can sometimes be unfounded, Mr. Wright. Very well, let's see this murder weapon then. It's the fucking thingy. Look at this photo. What's this? Why, that's Jack Hammer standing at the top of the stairs. Why, that's Jack Hammer standing at the top of the stairs. Order. I cannot have order on this trial. This trial will be suspended. Mr. Rat, what's this all about? This photograph is from 5 years ago. There was an unfortunate accident at Global Studios. This is a photo of that very accident. Not a word of this was leaked up to the outside. It was a close-kept secret at the studios. What does this have to do with the current case? Mr. Edgeworth, you still can't see it? See the fallen man in this photo? Actually, no, the chat box is in the way. See how the fence post pierced him through the chest? Oh, now I can. What? Are you saying? Yes. What happened 5 years ago? Has happened again. Mr. Wright, continue. It's 2:30 p.m. on the day of the murder. Miss D. Vasquez meets Jack Hammer outside the Studio 2 trailer. Then she did it. She pushed Mr. Hammer off the stairs onto the fence. Just like Mr. Hammer had himself done 5 years ago. Though whether she did it on purpose or by accident, I cannot say. In other words, the victim, Mr. Hammer, he died in the same way that he caused another man to die. 5 years ago. Precisely. Ironic, isn't it? Very creative, Mr. Wright. I could use a man like you on my script writing staff. You deny that what I say is true? Mr. Wright, let's say for the sake of argument the Hammer died at the trailer as you say. If the body was found at Studio 1, was it not? You've already talked about your van and going to Studio 1. You've sold yourself away. And in an evil magistrate's costume, no less. Are you then claiming that I carried the body to Studio 1 and returned to the trailer all in the space of a 15-minute break? How could I have disposed of the body? The break in the meeting at the trailer lasted 15 minutes, from 2:30 to 2:45. Yeah, and the two people there are her and her toady. We have no cameras, so if they're both in on it... Could Jack Hammer have been pushed off the stairs to his death, then carried to Studio 1 and placed inside his costume? There wasn't enough time. Indeed. Well, Mr. Wright, how could she have dealt with the body? I bet she could move it. She couldn't deal with it, she had another way, Because bet she could move it doesn't... It's gonna be this one. What if she had another way to carry the body, other than with her own hands? For instance... Actually, for that matter, there was no need for her to do the deed in 15 minutes. And there was a way for you to carry that body. Let's hear it then. Mr. Wright, please show us how she carried the body. This car. Miss Vasquez, you carried the body to Studio 1, and you used the studio van to do it. Recall your testimony. There was to be a rehearsal afterwards, so I went to Studio 1. I was fatigued, so I had Sal take me. There was a van there, right? I had Sal drive me. You used the van to carry the body to Studio 1. Then, before everyone else got there, you put the body into the magistrate costume. Hold on, Wright. Don't forget, it was Sal Manella that drove the van. Are you suggesting that Mr. Manella was a conspirator? Of course Sal Manella has to have been a conspirator. The body had to be placed in the van and put into the costume. There's no way Miss Vasquez could have done that alone. Also, don't forget that they had to dispose of the Steel Samurai costume. They had to because it was covered in Mr. Hammer's blood. They probably burned it in a small incinerator. Well, Miss Vasquez, shall I continue? No need. You're smarter than you look, Mr. Wright. I lose, you win. It was fun. I win? So what happens next? Huh? Me? Don't you have anything to say? What would you like me to say? Huh? I lost, something like that. I just said that. Wait, so you mean... E. Vasquez, it was you? You killed Jack Hammer. What's your angle? Who can say? Huh? Are you sure I did, Mr. Wright? We just engaged in a battle of wits. And the result of that battle, you proved the possibility that I murdered Hammer. Right. But that's only a possibility. Proof is another thing altogether. You lack decisive proof, Mr. Wright. What? What? Order. Mr. Edgeworth, your thoughts. Of course, it's as the witness says. Certainly it does seem very likely she did it, but there's no proof. Edgeworth isn't sure. Well, I came here as a witness today. If you've no more questions, I'll be leaving. What do I do now? I'd like you to testify again. Testify again? No one to give up, Mr. Wright. Think about it. Even if I were to testify again, what's the point? I can only say what I said before. The truth, Mr. Wright. I've already said all there is to say. What would happen if I said it again? You'd ask the same questions, get the same answers. A waste of time. Damn it. I've come so far, only to fail. As it seems there are no further questions, I would like to end the cross-examination of the witness, Ms. Vasquez. What you got, Edgeworth? Yes, Mr. Edgeworth? I was hoping to come up with a question while I was objecting, Your Honor. I didn't. God damn it, Edgeworth. I see. Very well. Your Honor, I request that the witness testify again. You're the prosecutor, are you not? Why are you badgering me? I'm your witness. I just want to hear your testimony again. Does this make any sense to you, Your Honor? I don't see that we have anything to gain by repeating the last several minutes. Mr. Edgeworth, I too see little point in making Ms. Vasquez repeat herself. What exactly did you want to hear? Did you want her to testify about? Yes, indeed, verily I say, ergo. I want to hear about what happened after they found the body. After they found the body? Very well. The witness will testify to the court concerning this matter. Nick, why Edgeworth? Who knows, 'cause he's a cool guy. Probably realized she did it too. But wasn't he the one that said he always gets a guilty verdict? He hasn't gotten a guilty verdict the last time. After all that, Edgeworth. After finding the body. I was with Sal and Oldbag, the security lady, when we found the body. The assistant was there too, only Powers was absent. I immediately called the police, then Powers showed up. The security lady, Oldbag, was quite agitated, pointing at Powers saying he did it. I asked to be left out of the proceedings. I went back to the trailer to get my script and direction notes. Then I went home. I see no issues raised by this testimony. Mr. Wright, your cross-examination. Okay, Nick, we're close. She may be acting tough now, but if you put her on the spot, she's sure to falter. Find the key you need and twist the truth out of her, Nick. Right. After finding the body. I was with Sal and Oldbag, the security lady. What time was that? We were to meet at 5 for the rehearsal, so I'd say it was then. When exactly did you and Mr. Manila arrive at the studio? About 10 minutes before. I wasn't stuffing any bodies in the costumes, mind you. Where were the other employees when you got to the studio? They weren't there yet. Well, then you could have put Hammer in that costume with Sal's help. No? What did I just say? Did I not just say I wasn't stuffing any bodies into any costumes? You should try to listen to what people are saying, boy. Boy? A witness will continue her testimony. Mr. Powers is taking a nap, correct? So he says. Did no one go to call him? Remember, this also puts the assistant at the other end of that area there, without a photo. Remember what? There's a dead body lying in front of us. Did you expect me to be calm? Certainly seemed calm enough when I accused you of murder. Wait a second, wouldn't that be the other way around? The other way around? You discovered a murdered body, and one person was missing, right? Wouldn't you normally go looking for the missing person? I have to agree with the defense on this one. Well, Ms. Vasquez? Logically speaking, perhaps. But no one there was thinking very logically, I assure you. Also, without his steel samurai costume, Powers doesn't really stand out. We often left him on the bus when shooting at location. No one noticed he was missing. Poor Powers. Well, I suppose that explains that. Very well, Miss Vasquez, you may continue. Immediately called the police. What was everyone else doing at that time? No one said a thing. It was silent, completely silent. So we stood there until Powers finally arrived on the scene. Sorry, I'm late. Then silence. Dead silence. Silence. Hey Nick, why is everyone so quiet? Someone should do something to lighten things up. Old bag, security lady. Why did the security lady think Powers had done it? She said because she saw him going toward the studio. Right, the Steel Samurai. Did the detective arrest Mr. Powers based solely on the security lady's word? Perhaps not. She seems to have also given the detective that photograph. Of course, I heard all this after the fact. That photograph, meaning the one taken by the security camera. She's not known for exhibiting the best sense of judgment when it comes to Hammer. I don't think there's anything in there I can use. Has to be left out of the proceedings. Yep. You asked to be left out? Yes, it seems that everyone else is questioned. And I'm really not fond of that sort of thing. But you can't just decide who the police will and won't question. Thankfully, the studios thinks otherwise. They were nice enough to understand that since we were in a meeting, there is no way we could have been involved. Thus they covered for us. Covered for you, or covered it up for you. There must have been a lot riding on it, all those bigwigs at the meeting. I'm sure her professionals helped to convince everyone they didn't require questioning. Come back to the trailer. The script and your direction notes. Yes, they're quite valuable. It wouldn't do to have them stolen. No, I guess not. Wait a second. Thought you came to Studio 1 for a rehearsal. Why didn't you bring your script and notes? Well, I was under the impression that we wouldn't be able to rehearse anything. Why? There was a murder, after all. Who could think of rehearsing after that? A murder that you supposedly didn't know about until after, you got there? Oh yeah, I guess. Very well. Miss Vasquez, please continue. Got her, Reggie? Your Honor, I have an objection to the witness's last statement. Huh? Think. Miss Vasquez said she didn't bring the script because there wouldn't be a rehearsal. Don't you see what that means? She would have had to know about the murder before going to Studio 1. Order. Mr. Edgeworth. What you've just said is a reasonable observation. Thanks, Judge. However, I find it hard to understand why the prosecution would make such a move. Or are you thinking of a career change to defense? I appreciate the concern, Your Honor. I will stand by my statement, however, regardless of how the court sees my role here. Now, Ms. Vasquez, you have an explanation. Can't believe Edgeworth is helping me. So the prosecution is in cahoots with the defense. What kind of court is this? No matter. I think you misunderstood me. I had a perfectly good reason to believe there would be no rehearsal. Very well, the witness will change your testimony to reflect this reason. I knew that Hammer was injured and couldn't do any action scenes, so I left him behind. How'd you know about the injury? How did I know? Also, it wasn't Hammer that was injured, it was Powers. Sal, he told me. Sal, the director? You have to find something to peg this on her here, or everything we've done till now will have been wasted. I believe in you, Nick. Go get him. But I gotta get back to the final thing there, and not accidentally skip it. Okay. I believe I have a photo. Maybe. I have a lot of things saying that people were there, but I don't think I have any testimony. Or piece of evidence. I knew the hammer was injured. Yep, that's definitely it. But where do I... Samurai Spear was broken during that, but Powers was the one who was injured. Hammer should be fine. Do I present the spear? That statement contradicts this evidence. Okay, no it doesn't. Ah! Guide map. Accident involving Jack. Did you know about the injuries Sal told you? I'm working on it, Maya. Found all bag when you found the body. Powers is absent. Media can call the police. Has to be left out. Went back to the trailer. Script in your notes. Quite valuable. Wouldn't you bring your things? There was a murder. This is just gonna be that same thing. Nice that they'll just redo it. Oh boy. I knew the hammer was injured. This is wrong, but what do I present? Powers photo? You knew the hammer was oh fuck, it worked. Don't you think that's a little funny? I mean, it was the Steel Samurai who was injured. Well, Powers. What? Mr. Wright, explain yourself. Yes, Mr. Hammer is dragging his leg in this photo. But that's because he was pretending to be Mr. Powers. Pretending. One person was injured in the run-through that morning. That person was Mr. Powers, not Mr. Hammer. Now, why did you think it was Mr. Hammer who was injured? I already said it was Sal who told me. That's right. You must have gotten it wrong. I think not. Mr. Manila was at the run-through that morning. You would have known it was Mr. Powers who was injured. Why would he tell you the wrong person? Ms. Vasquez? Actually, you didn't hear anything from Mr. Manila. You saw Mr. Hammer limping with your own eyes. Yes, but wasn't it Mr. Powers who was injured? Yes, but remember, Mr. Hammer was dragging his leg too. He was pretending to be Mr. Powers. Ah. And when was he doing this? Well, it would have been after he put on the Steel Samurai costume and went to Studio 2, where he was murdered. Exactly. Ms. Vasquez, you met him, didn't you? You saw the Steel Samurai limping? And Mr. Hammer was in that Steel Samurai suit. That's why you were confused. That's why you thought it was Mr. Hammer who'd been injured that morning. Huh? Order. Witness. Can you refute this claim? Yeah, let's see you sneak out of this one, Vasquez. Very well. I have a question for you. Why are the real killers always so persistent? Why in the world would I want Mr. Hammer dead? Yes, he'd fallen on hard times, but he was a star. I had nothing to gain from his death. Nothing. Yes, you would need a motive. Why would she have killed the victim? If there's a reason, it is unclear to this court. Does the defense have anything to say on the matter? In other words, can you prove she had a motive? Well, I have this photo. Okay, I have proof and I'll show it. I present to the court evidence as to Miss Vasquez's motive in this murder. This is my proof. This is the photo from before. This photo reveals the motive in this murder. I'm right, aren't I, Miss Vasquez? Yeah. 5 years ago, Mr. Hammer was at the height of his fame. With Dee Vasquez's help, a terrible accident was swept under the carpet. Ladies and gentlemen, the case currently up for trial. It began on that day 5 years ago. Ironically enough, that accident precipitated Mr. Hammer's fall. His fall from stardom. His guilt weighed him down, no doubt. However, you, Dee Vasquez, used Mr. Hammer. You made him work for you for petty change. Bringing us to the present day, and Mr. Hammer's last role as the evil magistrate. Yes, undoubtedly it was a constant source of shame for the ex-star. One moment, Mr. Wright. We're talking about motives here, yet you have only talked about Mr. Hammer. It almost seems as if it was Mr. Hammer who had killed Dee Vasquez, not the other way around. What motive would Miss Vasquez have? Yes, that's right. According to what you say, I would have had no reason to kill Mr. Hammer. He was a good source of income for me. And I never get rid of useful men. It's a policy of mine. Mr. Wright, please explain Miss Vasquez's motive for murder. She had no motive. She had no motive. She had no reason to do that. I don't have any evidence that can possibly help me here. Assumption is he came there, they had a confrontation, then something happened that ended with him dead, but it doesn't make sense for her to actually start it. She had no motive, Your Honor. What's that now? It was Mr. Hammer who was out for blood. All Miss Vasquez did was push him off the stairs in self-defense. What's that now? It's simple. Mr. Hammer was intending to kill Miss Vasquez. What? What? Your Honor, Jack Hammer drugged Mr. Powers with sleeping pills. Jack Hammer snuck into the dressing room and stole the Steel Samurai costume. Jack Hammer wore the costume to fool the security lady into thinking he was Powers. Then Jack Hammer made his way to the trailer. And for what purpose, you ask? To kill Dee Vasquez, who had so cruelly taken advantage of him all those years. Ah, she broke her cigarette. Well, her cigarette holder. So you did do it, didn't you? Yes. I'm guilty. It was me. Someone call an ambulance. There's blood everywhere. We're too late. Ah, Miss Vasquez. What? What happened here? Manuel fell from the trailer stairs. Manuel. Miss Vasquez, please try to remain calm. No, how could this... It was an accident. Mr. Hammer was doing an action scene and... No, Manuel. Don't touch him, Miss Vasquez. No. Please don't die. Please. Congratulations, Mr. Wright. I lose again. Mr. Edgeworth, where's Dee Vasquez? In the waiting lobby, Your Honor. As calm and collected as ever. Let's see. Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor? It appears you've brought about yet another miracle. I thank you, Your Honor. I think not, Your Honor. Will Powers was innocent. That he should be found so is only natural, not a miracle. Yes, you're right. Very well. This court finds the defendant, Mr. Will Powers. Something still rankles me. That is all. This court is adjourned. October 20th, 1:12 p.m. I don't know what to say. Thank you so much. I'm just glad you're okay. Yes, but it's sad. I know now that Mr. Hammer stole my costume. It's bad enough that he wanted to kill Miss Vasquez, but to think that he tried to frame me for the murder. It makes me sad. Tell me why, Mr. Wright. Huh? Tell me. Why did Mr. Hammer want to blame me? Oh. Well, this is what I think. Mr. Hammer wanted to put the blame on you because you were the Steel Samurai. Because I was the Steel Samurai? Mr. Hammer was a big star once, but he was reduced to acting in a kid's show and just a villain to boot. Hey, a good villain makes all the difference. The kids loved the Steel Samurai. And so he hated you. Like, you can have the best hero ever, but if their villain is garbage, then that hero doesn't amount to much. I think I understand. He could have just told me. I would have changed places with him any time. I think you're missing the point. Thank you. I'm just glad it's all over. So am I. Congratulations, WP. Oh? Thanks to you, I'll be able to don the Steel Samurai outfit once more. Can't wait to get back into that sweaty costume and... Huh? Is something wrong? No, of course not. Nick, Edgeworth. Hi, Edgeworth. Why do you look so mad? Say something, right? I'm not good at small talk. Huh? What? That's too bad, Edgeworth. You don't waste any time gloating, do you? No, I really want to thank you. Vasquez would have gotten away if you hadn't stepped in. Oh, well, pleased to meet you. I'm Powers. Edgeworth. I'm a big fan of your work, Mr. Powers. Liar. Right. I must say I hadn't expected to meet you again after all these years. Meet again? However, in retrospect, it would have been better if we hadn't met. Thanks to you, I'm saddled with unnecessary feelings, emotions. Unnecessary feelings? Yes, unease and uncertainty. Aren't those kind of necessary? They only serve to get in my way. You listen to me, Phoenix Wright. Don't ever show your face in front of me again. That's what I came here to tell you. But we work in the same building. Mr. Wright, was that guy your friend? What? Friends? As if. They're rivals. Right, Nick? For now we are. I guess. Huh? Why do I get the feeling I'm missing something? Come on, Nick. Tell me. What's the deal with you and Edgeworth? What is the deal? And so the curtain closed. But what's the deal? It caused quite a stir by revealing that accident from 5 years ago. It was the talk of the town. Thankfully, Global Studios rethought its programming change. They went back to making kid shows again. Nick, this is it. The new show starts today. You're gonna watch it with me, right? I'll admit I was kinda surprised. I didn't think they'd seriously go through with it. You have to buy trading cards too, okay? You have to trade with Cody and an assistant. Fine, I'll do it. Isn't it great that WP gets to play the lead again? I wonder if they'll show his real face this time. I don't know, probably not. I don't think the world is ready for the real Will Powers. R to W. I feel like I can't talk. The end.